Once you have completed your drawing, you are going to do your wire wrapping, and the wire wrapping is cut up and set on the countertop. But I have done the wire wrapping already on this piece of paper where my drawing is. So basically, you're going to be following the line that I gave you in the previous video. And I use tape to kind of tape it down in various spots, so to make sure that I'm following all the measurements accurately so that my armature is proportional. Here where the wire doubles up, here and here, I did a wrapping completely around those areas so it doesn't keep shifting on me. And then one last thing for the neck, I just twisted the wire one time. It creates kind of a skinny area in where you will make the neck. Don't worry that the head looks kind of small because we'll build that up. So once you have that done, you're going to take the wire off of the paper. So now it looks like this. I don't need the tape where it was taped down to the paper, but I am going to leave the tape where the two wires come together. Okay. So the next thing you're going to want to do is find an image of the figure that you, or a pose that you would like your figure to be in. So I did find this image, and it's a person doing yoga. So after I have got my wire armature, the proportional piece, I am going to be bending this wire into the position that she is in. And every little aspect is important, okay? So what I mean by that is like how her hips are turned, the direction that her feet are in, her knee here is pointing upward, whereas her knee here is pointing forward. All of those tiny little details make a huge difference in making your pose look accurate and making your human look like it is also accurate and that it is capable of doing a pose like that. Okay, so I'll briefly kind of do that just so you can see the bending kind of process. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure you guys can see this. Okay, so my figure, I am going to have, wherever the foot is touching, both of my feet are touching, but if you only have one, you need to make sure the one that you're using has this extra wire that is going to sit on a board, okay? So I could turn it this way or this way, depending on how confident you are in looking at your picture. Okay, so I turn my foot this way. This one is already in that direction. I am going to stretch her leg out here, and I am going to shift her body here. I'm going to bring down her arm. Realize I'm looking at this. Her toe is kind of at the top of where her hair would be, so it's further than her head. And I'm going to twist that head so it's facing upward. Realize also that her hand is kind of laying on her foot. So this will get bent just a little bit, kind of right where the hand would be. Okay, I'm gonna not bend the knee, but just have a little spot where the knee kind of would be. Her arm here, and you kind of have to reshift, but her arm here would go straight up. Her hand is completely open, so I don't really need to worry about that. So as you are doing this, really just check all the points, okay? So like look at the alignment of her hand where it goes from here to here, and that this matches that, that the way that her body is bent. Okay, so I probably would tilt this just, well, let me twist the hip just the tiniest bit. That's a big one, is the hips. So make sure that your hips look like they're in the right position. So right now, that's all I'm gonna do. When you guys get finished with your stretching the wire and positioning the wire, have a partner or friend at your table check it, and then I can look at it as well. Okay, if it looks kind of strange, well, first of all, it's gonna look strange because it's just a wire armature, but if it seems really strange, then just double check all your points and I can take a look at it as well. Okay, once you have your wire armature stretched into the position, and you can be doing this also, like you could do this part first, you're going to be cutting up a bunch of these plaster strips. So I'm going to take you over to the other side of the table to show you where that is and kind of how to do it. So if you walk over this way, all the plaster is going to be here. So this is the strips you're going to use. I do have a whole nother roll up here, and then I do have more in another box, but I'm just going to show you how to do this really quickly. So I am going to just pull out a bunch, and I'm gonna fold it in half. Make sure you guys can see that. Okay, so this cutter is amazing. You don't want to do it all the way here. Try to get it closer to the back, not all the way to the back. And be careful. This is not super sharp, but if you slam your finger on it, yes, it will cut it, so be careful. But all you're going to be doing, you want your strips to be fairly small. It's okay if like they're not exactly the same size or some are bigger, but you know, roughly inch square, inch by inch. Okay, so I have these, and then very easily I can kind of spread these out on here to make them maybe in like a few layers deep, and then I will push them over the edge. Okay, cut them. Obviously, make sure your fingers aren't getting into the way. Okay, once I have all those, believe me, it seems like, oh my gosh, that's so much, but you go through them quickly. So I would say a pile. You can start with this and then come back to it when you need. Okay, that's all I have for right now. I'll show you the next step in the next video.